I'll say this, fear has a way of being contagious. Courage is also contagious. Courage is also contagious.
Kamala, you're right. Courage is contagious. That's why over 77 million people chose courage in 2024 by rejecting your agenda and voting for Donald Trump. They stood up to the woke culture, the radical gender politics, and literally the erosion of common sense. It really amazes me how the left is called woke, when in reality, they're fast asleep. I mean, they're sleeping like a bear. That's why they don't realize that being woke is literally just not acceptable in 2025. But credit where it's due, their top guy, Barack Hussein Obama, he isn't so sleepy. And he does realize that being woke is not cool in 2025. Let's hear it from the man himself.
And I've noticed this among some wealthier folks who, you know, after George Floyd, they were right there, and a bunch of companies were talking about how they cared about diversity and they wanted to do this and they were all for that. And they are mute right now. But what that tells me is it was okay when it was cool and trendy. And when it's not so much.
That's right. Not only is it not cool, but Donald Trump has made it politically incorrect to be woke. And that is something that the left, the Democrats, really need to realize now. The real problem is that the Democrats still see themselves as the progressive party of America, while that cannot be farther from the truth. You see, back in 2008, when Obama was elected president, I could agree. The first ever African-American president of the United States, now that's progress. But the kind of progress Democrats push today, gender transition, open borders, biological men competing in women's sports, that's the kind of progress nobody asked for. So Obama, Kamala, you might be woke, but you're actually fast asleep. If you really want the Democrats back in the White House, you better wake up and get to work, because while you're sleeping, President Trump, he's working. And President Donald Trump has been hard at work doing something incredible and historic for the American people, most recently imposing discounted reciprocal tariffs on several nations of the world. For years and years, countries like China had been charging the United States a 67% tariff. And when Donald Trump imposed a discounted 34% in return, China, instead of reaching out to the White House and working with them, started retaliating, trying to play the victim and portraying the U.S. as the villain, trying to take away the right of development from the Chinese people.
If the U.S. is determined to fight a tariff and trade war, China's response will continue to the end. The U.S. has put its own interests over the public interests of the international community. It has served its hegemonic interests at the expense of the legitimate interests of the whole world. This will meet with stronger opposition from the international community.
Now, as of this video, they have increased tariffs on U.S. imported goods in China by 84%. And so in return, President Donald Trump has paused the increased tariffs for all nations who reached out to him except for China, whose tariffs he has now increased to 125%.
I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, and that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. A deal's going to be made with China. A deal's going to be made with every one of them, and there'll be fair deals. I just want fair. They will be fair deals for everybody, but they weren't fair to the United States. They were sucking us dry, and you can't do that.
He imposes tariffs not to start a trade war, but to end decades of economic surrender. And for that, the media attacks him, the left panics. But let's be honest, Donald Trump is doing what probably should have been done for the American people a long time ago. But here is something that Democrats like Kamala Harris won't talk about. They won't talk about the billions of dollars of investment that Donald Trump is bringing back to the United States. Major brands such as Hyundai and Apple and many more are now planning to start manufacturing in the United States, something they wouldn't even have considered if it wasn't for the leadership of Donald Trump. Kamala won't ever mention the thousands of new jobs, the families that will thrive, and the American towns that will finally see growth, all because of these bold moves. Now that is real progress. And despite the media's negativity, Donald Trump is not backing down. That's what real leadership looks like. That right there is courage. So Kamala, you said it yourself, courage is contagious. That's why President Donald Trump's courage has always led the way. That's why he won the popular vote, and that's why he's the leader that people rally behind. And that is why he's on the path to make America great and wealthy again. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button. If you've got something to say, make sure to drop a comment below. Let it be good or bad. I'll be reading and writing to each of you. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Much love.